Imagine losing everything: your property, your freedom, your inheritance, maybe even your place within your own family. Well, in ancient Israel, that could actually happen. Poverty or debt could force someone to sell the family land or even sell themselves into slavery. But God built something remarkable into Israel's law. There could be a rescuer. He was called the Goel, the Kinsman Redeemer. This was a close relative who had the right and responsibility to step into a desperate situation, pay the price, recover what had been lost, and restore the family. And the most famous example is one of the greatest love stories in the Bible, the story of Ruth and Boaz. Ruth was a widow, a foreigner, and an outsider with very little hope for the future. She returned to Bethlehem with her mother-in-law, Naomi, and eventually she met Boaz. Boaz was more than a kind and generous man. He was a relative. He could become their kinsman redeemer. Boaz stepped into their situation, redeemed the family property, married Ruth, and restored a family line that appeared to have come to an end. And then the story gets even better. Ruth and Boaz had a son named Obed. Obed became the father of Jesse. Jesse became the father of David, and from the line of David eventually came Jesus. That means the story of Ruth and Boaz isn't just a beautiful story about redemption. It's pointing us towards the ultimate Redeemer, Jesus Christ. Now think about what a kinsman redeemer had to do. First, he had to be a kinsman. He had to become part of the family. And that's exactly what Jesus did. John tells us the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. The eternal Son of God entered human history. He became one of us. Jesus didn't rescue humanity from a safe distance. He stepped into our world. He experienced hunger, pain, temptation, rejection, suffering, and death. He became our kinsman. Second, the Redeemer had to be willing and able to pay the price. And our problem was much greater than lost property. We were enslaved to sin. So what was the redemption price? Well, Peter says we were not redeemed with silver or gold, but with the precious blood of Christ. At the cross, Jesus paid the price himself. But redemption doesn't stop with being rescued from something. It also means being restored to something. The ancient kinsman redeemer restored the family inheritance, and Jesus does the same for us. Through Christ, Scripture says we are adopted into God's family. We go from slaves to sons and daughters, from outsiders to heirs, from spiritually bankrupt to inheriting what Peter calls an inheritance that is imperishable, undefiled, and unfading. That's quite a change of fortune. And Ruth gives us another beautiful picture. She was a Moabite, an outsider, yet through redemption, she was brought into the covenant family of God. Jesus opens that family even wider. Jew or Gentile, rich or poor, powerful or forgotten. Whatever your background, whatever your past, anyone who trusts in Jesus Christ can be welcomed into God's family. That's the gospel. Jesus didn't simply come to make bad people a little better. He came to redeem people who could never redeem themselves. He became our kinsman. He paid our debt. He broke our bondage. He restored our inheritance. And he gave us a place in his family. That's why one of the oldest declarations of faith in Scripture remains so powerful. I know that my Redeemer lives. And that's a truth worth holding on to when life falls apart. When you've lost something you thought could never be restored. When your past tells you that you've been disqualified. When the world tells you you don't belong. Remember your Redeemer. Our hope's not found in our ability to rescue ourselves. Our hope is in Jesus Christ. The price has been paid. The inheritance has been secured. The invitation into God's family is open. Our kinsman redeemer lives. For more of the biblical history related to this topic, please visit the link in the description and don't forget to like and subscribe.